Yo, do y'all get y'all checkups at the doctor's office or at a hospital? Ever since I was but a mere lad, I've had all my checkups at the hospital I was born in, but I've been getting flamed for that recently. I mean, I didn't even know doctor's offices were real. I thought they only existed in, like, movies. Anyway, the fake sky of Teyvat has at long last made an appearance, and ain't it beautiful? To some, it might not be beautiful, because to some, what we're looking at here may very well be a corpse of a moon sister. But what if I told you that's impossible? But we'll get into that later. Although I must say, fake sky is a bit of a harsh term. You know, if I had to pick with something, I'd go with, something along the lines of the holy barrier from our most benevolent overseer. But what is this fake sky, and what exactly are we looking at here? Well, to start, from what we understand, Teyvat's fake sky has been here since the world was made anew. It was put in place by the heavenly principles, the sovereign of sovereigns, the primordial one, our progenitor god, hailing from beyond the stars. Before Sun and Moon tells us, quote, the primordial one may have been Thanes. It had wings and a crown and was birthed from an egg, androgynous in nature. But for the world to be created, the eggshell had to be broken. However, Thanes, the primordial one, used the eggshell to separate the universe and the microcosm of the world. That's right, in spite of the color scheme and the seeming resemblance to the Sustainer's cubes, this false sky was in fact put in place by Thanes itself for the sole purpose of protection. Protection of whom? Protection of its most beloved creation, humanity. That's all there is to it. It's not to hide some dark secret or trap humanity in. It's just to protect them. We've seen the horror that lie beyond the firmaments. Take, for instance, the all-devouring narwhal, which was brought over by one of those bastard sinners of Khaenriah, Sertology. This spacefaring whale consumes entire planets' resources before moving on to the next. It's due to external threats such as these that the borders were created. Take the description of said narwhal, for instance. Quotes, a mysterious and gargantuan creature from another world. Poets often liken the starry sky to the ocean. They've seen or dreamt of countless bioluminescent plankton floating on a moonless sea, resembling a galaxy, or the moonlights ripped apart by waves on the sea's surface like shimmering stars. In the most fantastical stories or outrageous lies, the stars found in the depths of the cosmos might be teeming with life, much like Teyvat, and the universe itself is akin to an ocean. Realistically speaking, however, if a profound universe full of life exists, why hasn't any of that life made contact with Teyvat? Maybe the universe has been constantly trying to infiltrate Teyvat, or maybe a higher power created borders to protect this world. Now, for those still doubting the good intentions of the borders placed around Teyvat, let's bring in another faction entirely with no known ties to Celestia, who have their own thoughts on Teyvat's borders. Let me ask you this. You like Klee? Sweet little child, huh? Good-natured kid, strong head on her shoulders, walking down the right path in life. You like Klee. If you like Klee, surely you must like the person that raised Klee, Alice, the elder of Teyvat's resident coven, the Hexenzirkel. Surely Alice wouldn't seek to destroy or harm the world her child and husband reside in. Do we know why Alice has been missing recently? Well, why don't I let Alice tell you herself? In the wings of feasting, which Alice gifts to Klee with a letter, in which she just casually tells Klee the world was once ruled by dragons, Alice ends the letter with this, quote, Teyvat's borders have grown fragile these past 2 years. Looks like Mommy's going to have to get busy. And in the end, she was right. The border was evidently so fragile that now it's been broken, and we can see what's on the other side. One thing that's interesting about her comments is that she said the border has grown fragile over the past 2 years. Wings of Feasting came out in 1.4, which means the borders may have started growing fragile around the time the Traveler was awakening from their 500-year slumber. But that aside for now, why would Alice care about protecting Teyvat's borders? Well, this answer could tie into what this bleak image of the sky beyond the sky is, and it's death. You see, Alice and the other members of the Hexenzirkel have long since come to the realization and understanding that the universe is dying. The Wandering Witch Octavia tells us, quote, the entire cosmos is going to die soon. Things peaked but not long ago and are about to go south very fast. Many stars across the cosmos have gone out. I do not know how much time is left, Octavia said, so I wanted to come back to see you. Look at this image. Doesn't this perfectly encapsulate a dying cosmos? Hey, let me tell you one thing. You know what I don't see when I look at this image? Life. You know what I don't think? Man, I wish I could live over there. Are you kidding me? I mean, dark red and black are never a safe color combination. You know, certain folks, when they see this shit, might adopt one of two attitudes. One camp just sort of goes, I'm good, keep that shit away from me and my family, I will stay within the border. And the other is just like, I want to go Scooby-Doo over there. Now, the big takeaway from this image are these rock fragments. Yeah, I said rock. A lot of people seemingly rush to the conclusion that this is a moon and this is the corpse of one of the moon sisters. I'll talk about in a bit what that entails, but first, my friends, an anecdote. One I've told, I think, once before on this channel. When I was but a boy in middle school, I walked into science class one day and my teacher placed a beaker before the class and poured a liquid into it, a clear liquid. Once the liquid settled, she asked us what the liquid was. Given it was a perfectly clear liquid and seemed to have the same consistency as water, we all naturally said it was water. She then poured another liquid into the beaker, and everything changed colors. It was then we were horrified as we realized it wasn't water. The teacher laughed and proceeded to chokeslam 18 middle schoolers before escaping. What I'm trying to say is, even if it walks like a duck and looks like a duck, it might not be a duck. This rock formation, there's something strange about it. If you look closely enough, it has markings on it. Markings that don't appear on any other moon in Teyvat. Now, the natural response would of course be to label all the moons within Teyvat's borders as fake and label this one as one of the real moons. But to see why this statement is problematic, let's talk a bit about the Moon Sisters. I'm not going to delve too much into this just because I have a whole other video solely about the Moon Sisters. But in short, the Moon Sisters are three ancient deities whose existence coincided with the Celia race. Names Aria, Sonnet, and Canon. It simply used to be Teyvat had three moons. Quotes, long ago, three bright moons once hung high in the night sky. These three moons were sisters, their years numbering more than those of the Archon, and their year of birth, holy fuck, predating the very bedrock upon which Liyue Harbor now rests. Eventually, the second Ukame arrived and sort of just blitzed Teyvat. Quote, with time, disasters overturned the sovereign carriage and laid ruin to the halls of the stars. Three sisters of the nights turned against one another, leading to their eternal parting by death. Only one of their pale corpses now remains, ever shedding its cold light. However, it's important to keep in mind that while all the three sisters have since parted following the catastrophe, that doesn't mean they're all dead. As a matter of fact, one moon sister survived the calamity, but herein lies the grave problem. The Moonpiercer polearm description writes, quote, ultimately, two moon wheels shattered into dust and disappeared. The last of the sisters was so overcome with sorrow that she would never leave her palace again. After a long time, the moon debris finally fell to earth. At that time, the god of vegetation had already brought the forest to the desert land. So, by this description of things, it can't be possible that what we're looking at here is the corpse of a moon sister. Given of the two moon sisters that died, the debris of the moon fell to earth by the time Greater Lord Rukkhadevata had changed the deserts. That's ages ago, my friends. Unless this is a recent development, and we are in fact looking at the corpse of a moon sister, but not one of the two who died during the disaster, but of the final moon sister, who would have died at some points later, unbeknownst to everyone, except the heavenly principles. And the purpose of the fake sky is to hide this dark secret. Sounds convincing, right? Nope. Nigga, that fake sky was there long before this bitch would have died. In any case, it still doesn't really explain the markings, though. That shit is actually bugging me. Does anyone know anything about these markings, man? Turning it to you. It's a forum, guys. It's a forum.